Islam. Now we're going to have our chairman, Sheik Amir, come up and demonstrate.
Islam.
Islam.
First I rise to my highest heights, giving all praises due to Allah. I give honors to all true and divine prophets, including Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, and the prophet in these days and times, our prophet Ali. I extend those honors to all Asiatics and Muslims in attendance and worldwide. I'm Sheik Amir-EL, chairman here at Temple 21-3. Islam.
Islam.
All right, Moors, so, I would say over the past year or two, I've been very quiet on social media, but I've been watching. I've been watching the activity of the Moorish Americans, regardless of what organization or lineage they may identify themselves with. And so I want to talk about a couple of those things. Firstly, I want to touch on the Uniform Commercial Code, because this is something that Moors have been utilizing since at least the 80s. I also want to talk about the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America and what were his particular ideals, principles, things that he advocated for Moorish Americans, and to see if what Moors are doing in 2019 and 2020 is in line with the original teachings of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Prophet Noble Ali, the founder, and the Moorish Divine and National Movement. So let's get into this. Let's get right into this. So the Uniform Commercial Code was drafted. The final draft was created in 1942. It's also known as, for shorthand, the UCC.
That's right, Mom.
It was finalized and created, its final creation. Not final creation, but it's not the final draft, but the official proposal was created in 1952. Yeah, so look, quick Moorish trivia. What year did the Prophet Noble Ali transcend?
1929. Yep.
Islam. The Prophet Noble Ali transcended July 20th, 1929. So he was no longer in the physical form when the UCC was even an idea in a person's mind. Okay? So UCC is not Moorish science with the intent of the Prophet Noble Ali, the founder. That has nothing to do with what Noble Ali had intended, because it had not existed at the time of his quote-unquote death, which we understand there's no such thing as death. Because spirit man cannot die.
That's right.
So Moors are utilizing the UCC to exercise some form of pseudo birthright. They believe that they can secure their birthright through the utilization of UCC, with the understanding that adhesion contracts were created, such as the birth certificate, the driver's license, etc. And so they use UCC, like, file 1-2 or whatever, and they'll utilize that particular clause within the Uniform Commercial Code. So firstly, let's touch on what was the purpose. Why was the Uniform Commercial Code originally created, right? Let's start there. So the purpose of the UCC was to create uniform laws governing commercial transactions. You see? So commercial transactions have something to do with nationality, but it's not the exercising of your birthright kind. Does that make sense?
No.
All right, I just want to make sure y'all Moors is following me. And they wanted a uniform laws governing commercial transactions spanning numerous jurisdictions. So what do I mean? So the goal was to have all states pass it, so that commercial activity is more or less the same from state to state. All right? So you go to Idaho, you go to Wyoming, when you go to Mississippi, when you go to California, and you engage in commercial transactions or commercial activity, it will be governed by the same laws. Okay? So the UCC was created by private organizations. Okay, this was not created by policymakers in the federal or state government. Furthermore, it is not federal law, because we know Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, it allows the Congress to create laws governing interstate commerce. Interstate meaning between states. Intrastate meaning within the state, which would be governed by the state itself. So the laws proposed and passed in each of, it was proposed and passed in each of the 50 states, with some exceptions in terms of clauses. Some states adopted the entire code as it was proposed, and some states had certain changes made, more or less. But the majority of the substance was passed by all 50 states, in some form, I guess, in all territories with the exception of America and Samoa, all right, which is a territory and not a state. So as I stated, states have the authority to regulate intrastate commerce based on their limited sovereignty within the geographical, political boundaries of each state. So what I mean by that is each state could create laws regulating commerce within their state, but when that commerce travels outside of that state, that falls within federal authority. All right, like saying you're transporting, for example, there was a Supreme Court case, I can't remember the case law. It was a Supreme Court case where train cars were, the number of train cars were different from state to state, and it was considered like a safety regulation issue. So in order to have a uniform, because the railroads travel across the country, in order to make sure that the regulation was uniform, they said this is the specific number of train cars, no less, no more, what have you, things of that nature. So this is one of the primary tools used by fringe Moorish groups. I know of no Moorish Science Temple of America within the Moorish movement, regardless of leadership, that advocate the usage of UCC in terms of exercising one's birthright. All right, so this is Moorish fringe groups that, more radical ideological concepts come out of these groups. Not that they're all wrong, but there are many radical concepts. And these groups tend to use the name of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali in the Moorish Divine and National Movement. But they use very little, or they mix the teachings with foreign doctrines. The origins of Asiatics who call themselves Moors, using the UCC as a pseudo-exercise of Moorish birthright, comes from the sovereign citizen movement. All right, Moors had interaction. Am I too loud? Is this like, because I could move? Moors have had interactions with European sovereign citizens, and some of the teachings within those European sovereign citizen groups are true, but many of them were misleading, because these groups, could find their origins in the Civil War and relations to the Confederate ideals and virtues. And they were upset at how the war ended and the results of the war, and they were trying to undermine the sovereignty of the United States of America, as was the case that caused the Civil War to occur in the first place, at least from the Union perspective. So people use the name of the prophet or cherry pick specific quotes that favor their agenda. And this is one way you could know, Moors, if somebody is a true Moor, if they're true to the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. The ones that aren't, when you bring up things that contradict what they're saying, they hate when you reprove them with the words and the actions of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. When you take the voice of the Prophet and you project that voice to them, and when I say voice, none of us know how he sounded, but we know through the words his voice.
That's right.
And sheiks coming from, originally from the Prophet passed down, because as all the sheiks that sit before you, we can trace our origin to the Prophet. So every sheik that was passed down was trying to imitate those that taught them, and you trace that imitation to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So we're going to start with, I don't know if the Sheik Muhammad could assist me with this, if he has his Moorish literature with him. I I need the prophet makes a plea to the nation. Not the divine warning. It's in the Moorish literature. If you want, you could just read this excerpt right here. I have it on my screen. I have suffered.
Islam. For I have suffered much and severely in the past through misunderstanding of what the movement was dedicated to. Islam.
So there you have it right there. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali, in his own teachings, has said that he suffered much and severely in the past through what? Through misunderstanding of what the movement was dedicated to. So it was a lot of confusion that has been caused by the misunderstanding. So many people that come into the Moorish movement, they come in through YouTube. They don't necessarily come in through the temple to get the pure teachings of the Prophet. One of the things the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said in one of his divine pleas, he said, don't flash your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. You see?
That's right.
So Moors tend to try to put the Moorish paradigm, on a social media platform, and that's a good thing. But when you have radical teachings that don't coincide with the teachings of the temple, it paints the temple in a negative light. So if you as a Moorish American and you're turban or fez, and you walking around conducting yourself contrary to what an upright Muslim would do in those scenarios, people are going to assume that anybody that's wearing a fez, anybody that dresses like you, anybody that's associated with this flag or any of the regalia that we wear, they're going to assume that you are a reflection of the movement. Furthermore, in that quote that I had the Sheik read, he said a misunderstanding of what the movement was dedicated to, right? So this is why it's important for us to read some of the teachings of the Prophet, because in the Moorish literature, it illuminates what the movement is about. So I'm going to ask for the Sheik to give me the divine warning, or whichever Sheik has it first. No, I'm sorry. It's not the divine warning. It's in a warning from the Prophet. It's just called a warning from the Prophet. If you're not able to locate that, I have it on the screen. You can just stand up here. I want you to start with, there is no favorite in any temple.
The warning from the Prophet. There is no favorite in any of the temples. For the law is laid down, and everyone who claims a part of the work must be governed accordingly. All are one. There is but one temple in this nation, and there is but one prophet of the temples. I come to speak to all nations, bringing them a message of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. In the head of every temple, if anyone has violated these divine laws, it will mean his discontinuance. For no man is to be under the influence of intoxicating liquor, nor to seek to tear up the families while under the influence of evil motive, nor must he speak anything that will prejudice the minds of the public against the divine movement. If any,
that's good right there. Thank you. Islam. So let's pick that apart a little bit. I got you right now. I just want to pick this apart a little bit. First off, the Prophet said there's no favorite in any of the temples.
That's right.
For the law is laid down, and everyone who claims, all right? So if anybody who's claiming affiliation to the Moorish Science of America, affiliation to the Moorish Divine National Movement, affiliation to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who claims a part of the work, must be governed accordingly. That means you must be in line with the divine constitution and bylaws. If you're not in line with the laws laid down to you by your prophet, then you are not a part of this divine national movement, period. I don't care if you have a fez on. I don't care if you're wearing a turban. I don't care if you're wearing a law pin. I don't care if you walk up to me and say Islam, give me a hand press, have a Moorish flag, hang up anywhere. You are not a part of this divine and national movement if you're not being governed and living according to the laws laid down by our prophet.
Wow.
There's no separate temples.
That's right.
Okay? We may disagree in terms of our interpretation of the teachings of the prophet, but the prophet made it very clear. All are one. We are one.
Islam.
There is but one temple in this nation.
That's right.
There's one. And there is but one prophet of the temples. You see, but they invoke the name of the prophet Noble Drew Ali. But they're not in line with the law. They're not in line with the teachings. I come to speak to all nations, bringing them the message of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So we already know those principles of what govern us.
Islam.
And when anyone violates these laws, it means it is continuous, not just from the temple, but from the movement. You are no longer a part of this. So the last part I want to read. Nor must he speak anything that will prejudice the minds of the public against the divine movement. You see, so all these Moors doing these radical things. They're making radical, agitating speeches online, live streaming it off of Facebook and YouTube. When they are attacking government officials, public officials, when they are trying to publicly disregard or minimize the authority of the government of the United States of America. They are prejudicing the minds of the public against the divine movement.
That's right.
So some of your greatest heroes, because they're speaking rhetoric that speaks to the anger in your heart because of the things that transpired against us as a people here in America. That anger is under the influence of an evil motive, and it's destructive to our public image. And so these individuals that you think that are master teachers and noble people and what have you, they are actually destructive forces against the movement. What did you just say, Grand Sheik? Exactly, playing on the people's emotions. See, our people, Asiatics, we're very emotional people. And we have very charismatic individuals, but that speak good words that would motivate you to think that they're righteous people. But they have their own motives and agenda that do not coincide with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So I asked the Sheik Muhammad to get an excerpt ready for me. Could you start with the all true Moors, will and must?
Islam. Friday, January 15, 1929. Prophet warns all Muslims, governors ordered to be read proclamation at each meeting. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card, button, cease wearing their turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found them.
That's good right there.
Islam, awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Sheik. So the prophet, now when people, and I've heard this argument used by Moors before, oh, they try to say we not Moors and what have you because we ain't members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. How you going to say we not Moors? And they go to chapter 47 and the man descended nature, etc., etc. But these are the words of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, proclamation ought to be read at each meeting. And he says, all true Moors. So what does that indicate? There are some Moors that are not true.
Yeah, that's right.
All right? You automatically have to deduce that if he's saying that some Moors are true, then some Moors are not true Moors. And he qualified what a true Moor is and what a true Moor does in this excerpt. He says a true Moor will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet.
That's right.
You see, you can't get around the law. And this is what Moors are trying to do as individuals navigate, trying to have some special status of citizenship and avoid following the law. This is what's motivating Moors outside of the Moorish Science Temple of America today. But those of you who do not want to follow the prophet, this is what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali has said to you. Hear his voice. He said if they lose confidence in their prophet, if you don't believe in the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, you don't have to come to the Moorish Science Temple of America. You don't have to do any of that stuff. But if you lose confidence in your prophet, this is what you should do according to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. They should turn in their card and button. Cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. Because that's the only way to have somewhat good karma. Because if you do anything to the contrary, and you conduct yourself against the teachings of the prophet, prejudice the minds of the public against the divine movement, then karma or justice will catch you. Let it be he or she. We got it right here? Let it be he or she. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to ask that at this time that Brother Muhammad read for me the caveat emptor. Because see, how can you distinguish a true Moor from the Moors that are trying to lead our people into destruction, inadvertently or intentionally? Well, this particular work by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali will let you know not only is there a distinction between Moors, true Moors and otherwise, but he illustrates what that distinction is. Sheik Muhammad, I'm going to be interrupting you quite a bit, so I hope you be patient with me as we work through this. Islam?
From the beginning?
Yes, we're going to read the entire excerpt.
Islam. Caveat emptor. Moors are men, upright, independent, and fearless, who care for their loved ones and follow the prophet to the destiny which is not uncertain nor unknown.
Okay, hold on. Stop right there. So he tells us right there in the beginning what a Moor is. I want to be able to look at it with you. Okay. So Moors are men upright, independent, and fearless. All right. So that's a disposition that you will see in a Moor. And they care for their loved ones and follow the prophet. And follow the prophet. This is what Moors do. To a destination which is not uncertain nor unknown. How is it these Moors know the destination? Why is it not uncertain and not unknown? Because we have the works of the prophet.
That's right.
You don't need no GPS.
That's right.
We're going to get there just by following the word. Islam?
They are fortified by the impregnable doctrine built upon love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It is therefore folly at its greatest height for smelly culprits with their insidious plans to invade such realm.
See, so that's important right here, because who is being described in this first paragraph, those Moors? I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. And for those who want to invade our cipher with insidious plans, it's folly. It's foolish. We're not here to make no money. We're not here to mislead no people. We're not here to fleece the people. We're not here to take advantage. We're here to save our people. And if you have any other agenda other than that, if you have your personal problems, guess what? Everyone among us has personal problems. You got financial problems, problems at home, problems at work. We all do. We all in this HE double hockey sticks. That's why we here. That's why we would sacrifice our free time to be here. For us to all, as a collective, be saved. Not for individual ones of us to get certain information so that we could get out of our problems. This is not what the movement was dedicated to. It's for the uplifting of fallen humanity. Islam?
That's right.
Islam, Sheik.
Islam, Sheik. They try and try, but their own bad planning brings down wrath upon them, their heads, like the sword of old Damascus had. Intrigue and scurrilous for cunnings find a difficult path to travel within the ranks of the Moors. This is so because the Moorish movement has been well planned by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, whose latent powers are abundant, unknown, and may be called into action as a matter of defense at any time. At any moment. Pardon.
Islam. So, for those of y'all that are out there and you think that, you smarter than the prophet, you're able to take advantage of a situation because you see opportunity. A man existed over a century ago, was born over a century ago, who planned, who masterminded through the guidance of his teachers, through the guidance of Allah. Just for individuals like you, who think that you will be able to do something that's greater than what has already been done. You got Moors founding groups all left and right. Moorish this, Moorish that. Like as if them founding a group is greater than what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali did. It's folly, it's foolishness. But see, it's those that misunderstand the work that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali did, think that they can replicate something similar or greater. But we know the truth.
Islam.
And every attempt that you make is going to crumble right before your eyes. Islam?
Islam. Prophet Noble Drew Ali knows the people within his ranks who are interested. They are vanguards of the movement as the Moorish hordes increase here in America.
Pause right there. So as the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he knows the people who are within his ranks who are interested. They're called the vanguards of the movement. Every sheik that is upright, independent, and fearless, that care for their loved ones and follow the Prophet, are vanguards of this Moorish movement. And we will sacrifice to the utmost of our very lives to defend this. So understand the company in which you're coming amongst. And not only did the Prophet know who's interested, we know.
That's right.
Many Moors have walked through these doors. And we know the type of conversation where their mind is. Oh yeah, Moor, you know, I got a problem. You know, they killing me over here with the child support. Oh Moor, yeah, you know, yeah man, I got this traffic ticket situation. They come through the doors with those situations. And that's their intention. But Moors like the Sheikh Muhammad, Moors like the Sheikh Sadiq, Moors like the brother Jay, never came with problems. Only came with their sleeves rolled up, ready to work. What is it that we need to do? So we can distinguish you as well as the Prophet can. It's not that hard to see. Islam.
All of the Moors are active, not passive. A member's interest can only be in one direction, and having traveled over the road years before the Prophet knows where every member is along the road.
Islam. We got a Grand Sheikh right here over 2 decades in this Moorish movement. He done traveled this road. We done put our work in. Many of the brothers here have years. We got the Elder Outlaw Bey in the back. Years in this Moorish movement. We see where everybody is along the road, as the Prophet does.
That's right.
And all Moors, all of the Moors, this is without exception. When you use the word all, you're speaking of absolute. All of the Moors are active, not passive. Again, he's distinguishing between the types of Moors, the true Moors and those who claim to be Moors. But where's your works? What are you doing? If you're sitting at home watching this on YouTube, but you don't go to a Moorish Science Temple of America, you're not inquiring as to how to get to a Moorish Science Temple of America. It don't have to be under our lineage. Every Moorish Science Temple of America is going to be advocating the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the teachings of the Prophet. That's right. And you need to get involved wherever you are. And if you're not involved, trying to figure out what it is you can do to further this movement, advance this movement for our people, and uplift fallen humanity, then you're not on the path. That's right. Islam? We're going to describe those people who think that they're on the path or who pretend to be on the path. All right, so the Prophet just gave us one type. Now let's see the Moors who are not true Moors.
Islam. A few feet below is another road where schemers work, where traders grin, and culprits bask in the sun. They think they are on the same road with true Moors, but the Moors are high above on a pinnacle where they might view the destructionists as they fall for the last time and their bones bleach in the sultry midday sun.
Thank you, Muslim. So right there that phrase go again. True Moors. Right? And it says a few feet below is another road. That's right. So the road that we traveling is the higher road. The road that's in accordance with the higher self.
That's right.
That's the road you're going to find us on. And below, a few feet below that road is another road with schemers. That's where they work. That's where they charge you nationality packs. That's why everything that you want in terms of help and assistance, paperwork and what have you, they charge you an arm and a leg, hundreds and thousands of dollars.
That's right.
Those are the schemers.
Then you go to 3 courses to get some knowledge.
It will make you go to 3 courses and pay hundreds of dollars just to have your nationality. That's where the schemers work. That's where the traders grin and the culprits bask in the sun, because they're extracting the resources that belong to the prophet and they're using it for their own personal measures. And then they think that they're on the same road with the true Moors. Some of them don't even think they do anything wrong. Well, you know, I gotta eat too, man, right? Well, you know, I had to study a lot to get this information. Guess what? Every one of us done paid our dues. Study. We still study every single day. Never made a dime off of Moorish science.
That's right.
Never. Islam, let me get that last paragraph.
Islam. Hungry scavengers flying high, catch scent, devour and leave crying out. Caveat emptor. Cast out the dead carcass. The Moors high above see these plotters, purveyors, the worst that exists, hurl themselves downward by their own works as the hawks wait. Islam.
Islam. At this time, I'm gonna have the brother Jason. He's gonna go around collecting any dues or donations that anyone. Oh, you did it already? Okay, you just missed me then. I'm sorry. I was in the zone, boy, so I didn't even see it. All right, so caveat emptor is Latin. It means buyer beware.
That's right.
All right?
Islam.
So the Moors high above see these plotters, purveyors, the worst that exists, hurl themselves downward by their own works as the hawk waits. This is why we don't call no names. All right? We don't point no fingers. We see them. We see the plotters and purveyors. The worst of them that exists. Some of those very same people that you all celebrate, but they hurling themselves downward. And all we got to do is wait, like the hawks, because they're going to be hurled down by their own works. Islam. So again, I want y'all to get the understanding of this demonstration. Just because somebody says they are a Moor and they got a fez or a turban on, and they say the Prophet Noble Drew Ali Moorish Divine National Movement, don't mean that their understanding and what they're conveying to you is in line with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Then the only way you're going to be able to know, not believe, but know, is to read the teachings of the Prophet.
That's right.
If you don't have a copy of those teachings, go to your local Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam. If you want the understanding, you can get the words and know the words of the Prophet. But if you want the understanding, you have to study at the feet of a master. You have to become proficient in a subject. You need a teacher. It's not that complicated. Every one of us sheiks were students before we were teachers. Just like every teacher that you've ever been taught by in a public school system or private school system, they were first students and then became teachers. Who was the sheik that made you a sheik?
That's right.
What chamber did you go through to call yourself an adept, to call yourself a master teacher in relation to the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali? These are the things that you have to ask yourself before you even give that person that credibility. And if they're outside of the Moorish movement, know that their teachings are not in line with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Not by the words of Sheik Amir-EL, not by the words of Grand Sheik K. Yusuf Bey, or Grand Sheik, Supreme Grand Sheik Prather El. This is the Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Islam.
We're reading. Islam?
That's right.
And I'm going to have Sheik Sadiq read the first paragraph of Moorish Historical Message to America. Because again, this is highlighting just some of the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali so you can understand what true nationality and the exercise thereof and birthright actually is. What is the aim and objective of the Moorish Science of America? What was the thought process of the Prophet? Islam?
Stop it.
Actually, stop when you highlighted that. I'll be cutting you off.
Islam. Moorish Leaders Historical Message to America. In connection with the aims, objects, rules, and regulations of the Moorish Zion Temple of America, I deem it proper to submit to you a brief statement of our organization, covering its inception, rise, and progress of the Mohammedan religion, which I hope will be satisfactory to you and be the means.
Sorry to interrupt the Sheik Amir's sentence, but again, he speaks on the Mohammedan religion. So when the Grand Sheik come up here and he's teaching you out of the Torah, the Tanakh, the Injil, or either one of the Sheiks, the co-chairman, what have you, and they going into these different books, or the Quran, the Mecca, or the Moorish Quran, it's propagating the faith of Muhammad. So Moors is talking about nationality, and they're not talking about the divine side. You already know they're not in line. If they're not advocating the faith of Muhammad as a part of this, you know they're not in line. Islam?
Back up. Which I hope will be satisfactory to you and be the means of causing you at all times to adhere to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in your relations with mankind in general. I further most anxiously hope this brief statement will help you to more clearly see the duty and wisdom of at all times upholding those fundamental principles which are desired for our civilization of our posterity, such as obedience to the law.
Stop right there. The very first thing the Prophet says is obedience to the law. Why? Because part of our duty as sheiks is to teach that which will make you better citizens.
That's right.
And you call yourselves the fathers and mothers of civilization, you must obey the law. And what law is he talking about? It stems from the Constitution of the United States of America. So any more telling you that they're not citizens of the United States of America, that they don't adhere to the supreme law of the land, or they not a part of this particular government, they are not in line with the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. I'm not even sitting here telling you that they're wrong. If you believe that they're right, then that's your right to believe. But I can tell you this very much for a fact: they are not in line with the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. If they want to be Moors outside of the United States of America, the Republic, Islam.
Respect and loyalty to government.
Respect and loyalty to government. You think it's respectful and showing loyalty to government by you at war in the courts with the government? You're putting liens on government officials because you don't like the outcome, because you're trying to go a different avenue. Instead of being proactive and reaching out to these government officials and communicating your political status and trying to do things in that fashion, you want to do it after the fact. Now you want to go in the courthouse, you want to sue the bailiff, you want to sue the stenographer, you want to sue the judge, you want to sue the arresting officer, you want to sue the jury. Like, come on, man. Islam? So
you should have put somebody on offense to regulate those laws before you even get there.
Islam. And the Prophet speaks on the voting, as the Grand Sheik said, like, putting people in office that's going to, cater to our concerns and what have you. But in the interest of time, just the loyalty to government. Moors are not showing loyalty. The Inquisitionists and colonists, and they're no longer colonists. They formed the United States of America. A colonist is somebody who's from a foreign land that comes and colonizes another land. They're no longer colonists. They're citizens of the United States of America. That gives them authority to be in this landmass. The Prophet, by raising this flag, is establishing that the European has a right to be on these shores as long as he's a citizen. Islam?
Tolerance and unity. We organized at the Moorish Zion Temple, we organized as the Moorish Temple of Science in the year of 1925 and were legally incorporated as a civic.
Let's get to your highlight.
All right. Fast forward. Since the work of the Moorish Zion Temple of America was largely religious, the organization has been legally changed to a religious corporation.
Islam. So again, the works of the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, the Moorish Divine National Movement, was largely religious. Why? Because that informed us of our culture, our nationality, who we are. The religious aspect of it, because every group of people with their nationality or religion comes along with it.
That's right.
Your culture is passed down through your religion. The days that you observe in terms of holy days, some of the practice and rituals that you engage in, that's all a part of your descendant nature that comes through your religious beliefs. Some people, I don't like religion, spirituality. Religion is organized rules, usages, practices. This is what Islamism is.
That's right, Islam.
And an affidavit to this effect has been properly filed in the Cooks County Recorder's Office in Illinois. Inspired by the lofty teachings of the Quran, we have it as revealed word of God Allah. We shall foster the principles of its teachings among our members. This is our religious privilege as American citizens.
American citizen.
Wait, stop right there. So there you have it. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali says it's our privilege as American citizens. Okay, you cannot be a citizen of a continent. So I don't want to hear nobody telling me later on, hit me up on Facebook in the comment section or something like that, talking about, well, you know, we come from, why are we descendants of Moroccans? I mean, why are we Moorish Americans? We descendants of Moroccans born in America. See, it's citizenship of a government. You can't be citizen of a landmass. Okay, so you can't be a citizen of North America. You can't be a citizen of South America, okay? So the Prophet saying we are American citizens, he's specifying a polity or political government, the United States of America, okay? So if you claiming you outside of that, you're not aligned with the Prophet, the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Under the laws of one of the greatest documents of all time, the American Constitution.
There you go. Excellent thing.
There you go. The United States Constitution. I think he has one more sentence to read in the highlighted part. We'll close out there.
The Mohammedan religion is the least appreciated and probably the most misunderstood of the world's great religions. This is especially true in our Western world. Try to understand what Mohammedanism stands for and some of the things it has contributed to the world.
So that's the Moorish historical the lead's historical, Moorish historical message to America, in part. That was like the paragraph was pretty long. But so I want to close on this, Moors. All right, it's a lot of confusion being caused in the Moorish movement. There are many contradictory teachings within the Moorish movement. And if you want to associate yourself with one particular philosophy or teaching or another, that's fine. But what you have to be aware of, Moors, caveat emptor, be cautious of anybody using the name Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Moorish Science Temple of America, or Moorish Divine and National Movement. And they're saying stuff like they're not citizens of the United States of America, or they're talking against joining the Moorish Science Temple of America, or they're, advocating UCC, or using certain language that is not taught by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You need to be careful of those things, Moors. When they cherry pick stuff from the Prophet, but then their organization ain't even called Moorish Science Temple or nothing. Like they just Moorish national government, Moorish. I don't want to say Moorish national. That may be a real one. I don't know. Moors, they just mix and match words.
American National Republic.
I don't want to throw names out there. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna pick any particular group. So if that's the name of a Moorish group, I'm not singling you out. I just said the first thing that came to mind. But they make Moorish this and Moorish that, and Morocco and Maghreb and Marrakesh and this and that, and it's associated with the Moors. But the bottom line is, Moors, that the Prophet has suffered a lot for our misunderstanding, and for us to come to a better understanding, read your Moorish literature, read your divine constitution and bylaws, read your Quran Questions of Moorish Children, your Moorish Quran, the Resurrection book. Get your read on, Moors, and try to get yourself to a local Moorish Science Temple of America. If you're in the New York area, once again, we at 317 Claremont Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Typically, we meet on the 3rd floor. So come check us out. We are affectionately known as the Brooklyn Moors. And I'm going to close out on that, Moors. With that, I say Islam and peace. All right, Moors.